Where did the time go? We've already made it to the final week of the regular season of high school football. Gear up because things are about to get interesting. I'm Andrew Banstra, and this is the final drive. And it wouldn't be week 9 if there wasn't many conference championships up for grabs. Let's start with our game of the week and a Six Rivers showdown. Potosi Cassville and Blackhawk Warren are both undefeated, but after tonight, only one team will be able to say that and will only be able to claim that conference crown. The Chieftains defeated the Warriors in week 9 last year to clinch their 5th consecutive conference title. First drive of the game for Blackhawk Warren, whose quarterback Bo Podner takes it in himself, finds a hole through some good blocking and sneaks into the end zone. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This time Podner on a 2-point conversion after another Warrior score. He's back in the house. How about that? A big start for Blackhawk Warren. Potosi Cassville, they get some momentum back. A perfect end around here from Hunter White, who's able to dodge, duck, and dip his way into the promised land to cut that lead at half. This one would turn into an absolute shootout, and Blackhawk Warren stuns the reigning state champions. They secure that conference title and win it 28-21. And we're just getting started. Let's head over to Nash Dara, who had our game of the night.
Thank you, Andrew. Just up Highway 69 in Belleville, the Wildcats welcomed the Darlington Redbirds with the SWAL title on the line. Darlington came into this evening having already clinched at least a share of the SWAL title, but standing in the way of that outright conference championship was, you guessed it, Belleville. With a win tonight would clinch a share of that title alongside Darlington. But that would not be the case tonight for the Wildcats, as they would be stuck with a 28-0 deficit at half. Desperate to stay in the game on their first drive in the third, quarterback Raiden Taylor chucks it downfield, only to find the hands of opposing quarterback Zeke Zuberbuehler, which would set up the easy throw and catch Zuberbuehler to Broker Boucher to take that lead to 35. However, Belleville would find the scoreboard with Cooper Nemec making the catch and run for some points. But for the Wildcats, they would be in too big of a hole as they lose at the hands of Darlington, 42-21. Back to you, Andrew.
Man, a fantastic game of the night. You know, those two, Zuberbuehler and Broker Boucher, they've been doing it for years and keep Darlington on top. Now we make our way down East Wash to see Sauk Prairie and the Eagles take on the red-hot Edgewood Crusaders. Edgewood looking for their first undefeated season in well over 20 years, but had a tough test in their way with an Eagles squad who did lose to them last year, beat Edgewood 21-9. Looking ahead into the postseason on a high note, the Eagles were flying high for most of the first half, scored in the second quarter, and kept it coming with some explosive plays. Justin Shockley with the big gainer in the defense. For Sauk Prairie, they are doing their job too. Riley Jadak gets home for the sack. Eventually, Edgewood would break through with some offense of their own. The Crusaders were undefeated for a reason. A big piece of that, Gannon Bagstead, who fires a bullet to the ATM. Cash Soma, and another one, this time to Will Kelly for the touchdown. But how about this? Sauk Prairie comes back and wins it 20-7, stunning the Crusaders and denying them of not just their perfect season, but an outright Badger Small title. Looking at some other scores, Janesville Craig needed a win for a chance at a postseason slot. Couldn't get it done tonight against Verona, who wins big, 56-8. Speaking of teams that needed a win to get into the postseason, or at least a chance at it, how about this for a stunner? McFarland taking down Edgerton in Edgerton, 28-21. McFarland may be in the playoffs. Edgerton certainly still will be. Let's move on to 6th-ranked Waunakee, who had a chance to clinch their 6th straight conference championship this evening, but had a tough test in front of them with Milton. Milton themselves had a chance to get that Badger large conference share. Couldn't get it outright because Waunakee already had it. Early on, Milton looked like they might just do it. Tied at 14 apiece, heading into the second half. So to start the half, the Redhawks, they try an onside kick to get the momentum, but the Warriors were all over it and used that field position to find the end zone. Eli Drangsvit scurries in for 6 and the Warrior lead. And later in the third quarter, it was more special teams for the key. Milton punting, and with Wes Ducharme deep, you're better off just kicking it out of bounds. Number 10 with a head of steam, almost made it to the house. pushed out of bounds inside the 5, and the Warriors kept cooking like a pan of grease on high. They were bound to pop. Cole Causey finds his man Devontae Bacon for the touchdown. Wanakee blanks the Redhawks in the second half, winning it 42-14 and clinching that regular season undefeated record. Well, keeping an eye on all the games, last night Madison West needed to win for a chance at a postseason bid. They weren't able to get it done against Middleton, who wins 38-9. What a season for the Cardinals. Meanwhile, Sun Prairie East, they could all but secure a playoff spot with a victory, and they got that against DeForest 17-7. Two teams fighting for similar things. Normally, City Pride would come first on this list in this matchup, but not tonight. It was about a potential playoff spot. A Memorial win gives them a pretty solid chance at getting in, but La Follette would need some luck on their side and a big victory. The Spartans, who started the season 0-5, looking to rattle off their 4th straight victory, and with Zion Lopez-Darden dancing like that, they might just dance into a postseason spot. And later, the defense would get it done. Connor Roberts with the highway robbery. 82 says, "Give me that." And the Spartans would turn it into points after a healthy return from the big man. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Give it to Lopez-Darden again, who rips off, how about this, in a 50-plus yard house call, securing a statement victory for the Spartans. Memorial wins it 49-7, and after that 0-5 start, they've got a chance at a postseason bid. Speaking of teams that needed wins, Portage was one of those. Couldn't get it done against Mount Horeb Barneveld. And by the way, this win huge because MHB wins. That ties themselves in their conference, I should say, for their conference title with Edgewood. Moving on, this one huge too. Beaver Dam needing a win to get into the playoffs. They were unable to do it against the 3rd-ranked team in the state, 27-26 the score against Plymouth. The Columbus Cardinals head into the last week of the regular season on a roll, having not lost since week 2, and this evening had the chance to cash in their good fortune with a win over the Turner Trojans, which would bring them their 2nd straight Capital Conference title. And if we know one thing about Columbus, they're called the C-Bus for a reason, because they just don't stop rolling. That would be the story tonight. Late in the first, the Cardinals start flying through the air. Peyton Powers with the deep ball for Mowbray Jordan, their first score of the game, and they were just getting started. Later on, they'd go to the ground game because Tracy Bobby, he wants to go fast and knows if you ain't first, you are last. He finds the end zone, as does his friend Garrett Hodge. He joins in on the fun with a touchdown of his own, and the Cardinals would not be stopped. They go on to win it 43-0, securing that Capital Conference crown. Looking at some other scores, Cambridge needed a win for a chance at a share of the Eastern Suburban Conference. Can't get it done against Markesan, losing 22-16. The Wisconsin Dells, they needed a win for a chance at a postseason run and could not get it done in an absolute shootout. Waupun wins 68-35. And we wrap up the final week in the regular season of the Final Drive at Waterloo High School with more playoff spots on the line. Marshall made the quick hike over to Waterloo, and not only would the Pirates be looking for a huge win at the end of their season, they'd also be looking to end a drought tonight, as they have not beaten Marshall since 2017. But that wouldn't change this evening. The Cardinals, who started the season 1-3, finished by winning 4 of their last 5. How about Isaiah Polly, who rushes in for the score, and the Cardinals are likely playoff bound with a 28-12 win. And how about this in the Southwestern Conference? Both New Glarus and River Valley, all they needed to do was both win, and they would both have a share of that conference title. New Glarus did their job. River Valley, though, gets upset by Dodgeville, making the Glarner Knights your conference champions in that Southwestern Conference. An absolute crazy night of high school football, and of course, we cannot wait for the postseason.